When initially investigating the four elements, it seemed an element cannot exist alone. As an example, the fire element doesn't become fire until it is met with the air element. The elements each contain a potential. Is this thinking even on the right track? If so, what is this potential and where does it come from? It seems this potential is connected to rebirth. Thank you for your wisdom. Anan.
So these meditation objects, they're ways to bring our mind to peace and collectedness, to samadhi. So there is the meditation object of the four elements. So we contemplate this bodily heap, this physical body, as composed of the natural elements of earth, air, fire, and water. This earth element is the quality of firmness or hardness, like the nails, teeth, hair, bones, so on. And in the bodies, there's the water element, like blood, lymph, digestive fluids, saliva, tears. These are all things that have the liquid quality. In the fire element, there's the ability to digest food and the warmth in the body. That's the fire element. The air element is the breath that goes in and out, and that flows out throughout the whole body in the blood. That's the air element. So these four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, it's a way to contemplate the body in order to give rise to the peace of samadhi. And then the samadhi arises in the mind. And then with the mind peaceful in samadhi already, we can contemplate that these four elements dissolve and degrade, pass away. Then we can realize emptiness. This is a fruit of seeing, or the fruit is seeing the body as just a body. There's no me, mine, self there to be found. And when we contemplate and see like this is able to take out the attachment in the heart that we cling to the body as self. So in terms of one element having a potential or not existing alone, this is about science. So if you think in this way and it gives rise to samadhi, then this is correct. But if you contemplate like this and it's based on memory and perception, mental formations, there's proliferation, there's busyness of mind, then you should recall that we contemplate for the purpose of bringing the mind to peace and collectedness, to give rise to knowledge and understanding, to abandon attachment to the body.
How is one cognizant of the impermanence of things, people, etc., yet able to pay reverence to the beauty of creation, for example, a flower or our complex and amazing human body, and so on? Second, further to my query on impermanence and reverence, my thoughts are detachment is the key, but should it include reverence and appreciation of the beauty first, then followed by detachment?
So this is a very good question that you've asked. So when we have wisdom, we see the impermanence in all things, in humans, other beings, animals, material things, aspects of nature, trees, mountains, rivers, the ocean, and so on. So these are all things, materiality, mentality, that are unstable, impermanent. This is what Anya saw when the Buddha first taught this quality of impermanence, that all things arise and cease, whether it's a human, another type of being, or an object that we use. So we see this quality of impermanence, of change. We see this with wisdom, and we see the Dhamma. This is the essence of the Buddha's teaching. We see, we understand. And in terms of the beauty of nature, like a flower, or beauty in humans and so on, this is a quality of nature that's arisen already. There's also the beauty of virtue, the beauty of gratitude, the beauty of repaying debts of gratitude. This is the foundation of those that have virtue in their hearts. So people that are able to understand the truth of reality, to understand the Dhamma, they pass through this stage of having virtue, of seeing the beauty in the world with loving kindness and thinking with loving kindness, thinking in this way, having virtue and loving kindness together in society. So this is in the beginning. And you can ask, well, is there clinging there at this stage? And yes, there is. But it's at this stage that one's practicing to abandon unwholesomeness, to do that which is wholesome. And we do that which is wholesome and meritorious. And we cling to that meritorious act or that wholesome deed as self, with self. We do generosity, virtue, and meditation with a sense of self. So this is a sense of self, a good sense of self in society that has loving kindness, seeing the world in a positive way, thinking in a positive way. But if we then cling to that positivity or cling to that merit, then that will be the cause for suffering to arise. So therefore in the beginning we have virtue, we practice to cultivate samadhi, peace and collectedness. We practice to cultivate mindfulness and wisdom in order to see the Dhamma clearly. And then when we see the Dhamma, it's not that we just let go of everything all at once like that. Like Lady Visakha, she was a stream enterer, and she still liked beautiful things. She had children, grandchildren, and she had a lot of goodness, firmly established faith in the Buddha Sasana. So we see it's like this, and so we practice bit by bit, step by step, understanding the Dhamma more and more deeply. Then we're able to live in society with our family, with nature, and with wisdom as well.
Luang Por, regarding the Fetter self-identity view, does this mean that the Sotapanna views both the body and mind as not self?
So this is about having a sense of self, not having a sense of self. So this having a sense of self, there's a sense of atta, self, clinging to things as me and mine. Then there's anatta, not self, which is not me, not mine. So we understand that in the beginning there's this wrong view that all knowing elements have, all jittas have, all minds have. It's important we understand this, this incorrect way of looking at things as self, because it's this wrong view of self that's based or leads to clinging and attachment, leads to becoming, leads to problems. If we have a lot of clinging, then one is a bhutojana, one with thick defilements, without virtue. And if there's still clinging to self, but the mind is better, there is virtue, and this is a beautiful mind, a kalyana chana. And if the mind is a sotapanna, seeing the body, materiality and mentality is not self, this is seeing the Dhamma. But some people might have the doubt that one's seen the Dhamma already, seen not self. Why are there kilesas still there? Why aren't the kilesas all gone? Because one's seen not self already. So we have to understand that seeing the Dhamma, it's cutting off the first fetters, which includes Sakaya Ditti, or the personality view, which is a wrong view that's been embedded in the mind for a very long time. The sense of self, me and mine, you and yours. And so these qualities of virtue, collectedness, and wisdom gather together. One sees not self clearly. This is able to change the wrong view that's been there for such a long time in the heart. Wisdom arises, and one sees not self. This is able to destroy the kilesas, destroy some of the fetters that tie the heart down, tie it down with ignorance. In terms of these fetters, there's 10 fetters. The first 3 of personality view, clinging to rites and rituals, and skeptical doubt. These are important fetters to cut off, is seeing in terms of self, having doubt about how to practice or practicing for something other than the sake of the end of suffering. And these first 3 fetters, they're very important, the ones that cut off first. If one's able to destroy these first 3 fetters, then the rest of the fetters take no more than 7 lifetimes to be abandoned. There's no 8th life. And if you don't cut off these first 3 fetters, then the mind will circle around in the cycle of birth and death for lifetimes, for years without measure. There's no counting of it. So we see in this way, we see not self. This destroys the kilesas, but not 100%. Destroys greed, aversion, and delusion, about 25%, not 100%. So there's still liking for beauty, liking males or females. Stream mentors still have these in the mind. Like Lady Visakha still had liking for beauty, and she had a family. But she had realized stream entry since the age of 7, ever since she was a small child, the age of 7. But still, she went to get married, had a husband, had many children, had a liking for beauty. But her mind was firmly established in the triple gem and faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. She did generosity, practiced merit without missing it. And she will develop her mind no more than 7 lifetimes until she realizes full awakening, arahantship. So therefore we see that this is a mind that's not yet attained to full awakening, to arahantship. So we see in the beginning, it's like this, and then the mind needs to continue studying, continue learning in order to attain the Dhamma, which is to attain emptiness, where everything is empty, and that is arahantship.
Dear Tan Ajahn Anan, how to identify the kilesas? They seem like a big ball of tangled yarn that has become felted together in places. For example, greed and jealousy look a lot alike, and laziness overlaps doubt. Is there a method to determine for oneself which one to start uprooting? Thank you for your generosity and kindness in offering this retreat option, and thank you for your response.
So in the beginning, we understand that these defilements, these kilesas, they're all chaotic and all bound together, gathered together. They all tie down the heart, fetter the heart. So we, just like we just spoke to in the last question, this quality of Sakaya Ditti, personality view, this wrong view of self which ties the heart, covers the heart. And it makes the mind agitated, chaotic, and covers over the heart. So we see that this quality of wrong view, the wrong view of self, it's something that's difficult to abandon, difficult to destroy. If it was easy, we'd all be enlightened beings already. So in terms of kilesas to destroy, we see that there's these root kilesas, greed, aversion, delusion, these 3 groups. In terms of greed, we have wanting to gain, wanting to experience, jealousy. In terms of aversion, there's anger, ill will, delusion, there's laziness, doubt, and so on. So there's these 3 groups with many different kilesas within them. So what should we cut off first? So we look at what's really causing our suffering, this quality of being deluded in wrong view, the view of having a sense of self. So this is what we should abandon, the sense of self, of me and mine, you and yours. So we need to change our view to realize that there's no self there. It's not me, not mine, not you or yours. This is the way to cure the suffering, to cut off the things that tie the heart down, that cover over the heart. A stream enter, this is what they destroy. They destroy this wrong view, change it to right view. And when this happens, greed, aversion, and delusion, they are reduced. If we ask, well, are they still there? They are still there, but they're lessened, and they're within the bounds of virtue. So don't think too much about this and make your mind troubled and agitated. Don't doubt about this. Just make it simple and easy. Cultivate mindfulness, cultivate virtue, cultivate samadhi, cultivate wisdom. Contemplate that the body is just the body. This way you're able to destroy greed, aversion, and delusion, make the mind empty, give rise to purity.